suppose in terms of an individual deciding themselves why they want to make this switch to renewables, it can be for a number of reasons. I see in the horticultural sector, for example, and I mentioned about greenhouse gas abatement being very, very important. A lot of the soft fruit industry and the horticultural industry, they have to tender for a lot of their contracts with the multiples, with the supermarkets. And by being able to say that they're using a green technology for their heating, by using a green technology for their electricity, that can be an added advantage in terms of winning a tender for them. So from a marketing point of view, they could win out in that regard. The scheme that will be introduced in terms of the SSRH, the support scheme for renewable heat, that is going to be a financial incentive that will encourage the deployment of renewables. A lot of people will still have oil as a backup, or maybe have kerosene or gas as a backup, but it has proved, like the technologies have come on leaps and bounds in the last 20, 30 years. They've been used all over Scandinavia, right across Europe for a long number of years, and they work very, very well. I suppose we're at a point now where there's very few people in the industry. We thought this would have taken off a number of years ago, that we'd see a lot more deployment of biomass boilers right around Ireland, even anaerobic digestion, those kind of technologies. But I suppose the incentives weren't there. When this really needed impetus was back in 2011. The country had other challenges at that time. But now, as we face 2020, where we have those targets right across Europe, this is going to be a major challenge in terms of meeting those targets, and we really need to make sure that that farmers and growers are encouraged to deploy renewable technologies to cut their carbon on their farm. Heat pumps would be another technology that's supported by the support scheme for renewable heat. That grant aid is there already. That's a 30% grant aid. There's been very little uptake in heat pumps, but heat pumps are a technology very relevant, for example, to the strawberry sector. You can heat strawberry beds by using heat pumps. So it's low-grade heat that you're using. There's other technologies such as solar PV, which are supported through the TAM scheme, the Department of Agriculture Targeted Agriculture Modernisation Scheme. That supports solar PV at the rate of 40% in the dairy sector, in the pig sector, in the poultry sector. You have the horticulture grant scheme, which will fund at the rate of 40% the likes of solar PV. So there's a lot of supports that are there within agriculture, within horticulture, especially in the sector that we're talking about today. Those supports are available through the horticultural grant aid scheme, which is funded through the Department of Agriculture. And that's for all kinds of technologies to cut emissions within the sector and to make it more sustainable. So the main message is that there is a grant scheme coming. It's going to support biomass technologies on farms. I would say it's very, very important to understand what technology is going to suit your system, understand what kind of feedstocks are going to be best suiting that, and where you're going to get your feedstocks from, as local as possible. There's no point in transporting wood pellets right across Europe. If you can get a local supply, all the better. What type of feedstocks you're going to use, where you're going to store your material, what type of systems are there for feeding it in. Are you going to use an automatic feed system? Are you going to do a batch type system? So there's different operational type systems that are available. So really to understand technologies, understand the feedstocks and how you're going to use it, and the operation of those systems and the labour requirement as well.